You're rocking with the Hitman, DJ Fat Cat L.
Good afternoon and welcome to the first episode of the mating game. We actually have a guest in house tonight who's going to give us a couple of clues as to what you need to be looking for as far as a mate is concerned. We will start the game. I would be like another week or so that we're going to get that started. But I thought it was a good idea to have someone come in and talk to us a little bit about today's dating world because it is drastically different from let's say 10 years ago. I want you to welcome my guest, Vanessa Antonio. Hey.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vanessa Antonio.
Okay.
Thank you for having me in your show, DJ
Yeah.
Cat.
Yeah. Listen. As we said a little bit earlier, we had a little bit of audio issue. If it does go in and out, I'll let you know. But right now we're kind of itchy. But
Okay.
I let them know that you are Vanessa Antonio and dating analyst. So you can tell us a little bit more about your background and what you do as far as being a dating analyst.
Awesome. So, hi everyone. I'm Vanessa Antonio. I'm a New York certified matchmaker from Matchmaking Institute, and I am also a science-based dating coach. So I coach singles both in America and in the Philippines about dating, the science of dating, actually, because I believe that science is true, whether you like it or not. And what other ways you could, learn the best practices about dating, but to actually hear it from people who studied people professionally, such as psychologists, anthropologists, sociologists. And so I am here as a messenger. And of course, I help a lot of singles to, know what are the best practices when it comes to dating so that they would be more successful in their dating life.
Wonderful, wonderful. So on my end, I heard bits and pieces, but I'm quite sure the other end they heard everything. So that's the important part. So basically, what I decided to do, and that's why initially I tapped you as possibly being the host. I myself, I do a lot of shows, and this would just be another show that I'm hosting. But I recently came back on the dating scene, and it was like day and night from when I was last on the dating scene. So for me, I was like taken aback. Like right now, there's so much more opportunity for people to meet internationally speaking, and there's also opportunity for people to talk online and with many different people. Both of those things have good and bad in that there's so much exposure to so many people. It's so much time that you're trying to get focused on one person, or one person even being able to receive your attention exclusively. It almost becomes this battleground of how do I get myself to be the most important person in the room. So that's kind of why I thought, well, maybe I should go back to, and it was a very old show back in the day we would watch called The Dating Game. And basically, it was pretty simple. It was just basically three people, one contestant asking questions, narrowing it down to what they want. And I said, from that point, you can take it to where you want. But the thing about it, it's more like mating now. It's not the dating game. Dating kind of skips past it. They get into, is this going to be my mate? Is this going to be a match? And
Yeah.
so I thought it would be suitable to name it as such, the mating game. So again, you can give us sort of what you notice in the landscape today versus the old school.
Well, DJ Fat Cat, one huge difference with the dating scene right now and before is actually the existence and people actually thrive right now on social media, online. And so when we talk about dating, this ground that we are here on right now is much, much, much different because before we only get to meet people who are prospective partners when we meet them in person. They could be our neighbors, they could be our coworker, they could be our, say, friends of friends. But now the selection has widened so much that you could, as
Yeah.
you have said, you have more options now because you could actually date internationally. You can actually, date like anyone from anywhere in the world. And so that actually makes dating much, much, much more difficult right now because of course the more we have options, the more we get crazy about filtering things, thinking about who is the best for me when you've got so many options.
Yeah.
So I think now more than ever, this is when we need professional help. Or if not, if you don't want to seek the help of experts, you could actually strive to learn how to date smart right now by reading very nice books on dating. And when I say very nice, I don't mean, those fiction and dreamy books about dating, but these are actually books that talks about the facts, the numbers, the figures, so that you have more reliable and more, real, authentic look of what's happening right now.
Yes, and I was a person who actually dated internationally, so I was married to someone for more 21 years,
Wow.
and yeah, we pen pal like back in the day, writing for about 6 months or so. And she was at the time living in Germany, but she was originally from Turkey, and we took that time to kind of get to know one another, and then decided what we would do, and that turned into two kids in 21 years. So I do have a good story to tell, but it came to an end. We moved on to our separate lives, and now I'm back on the scene. And as I was telling you, I looked and said, "Oh wow, this is different." And the thing about it is, like you said, you could go on Instagram. There's women and men clamoring for attention, and the thing about it, if you're in a relationship and you don't give the attention to the adequate level, well, guess what? Someone can turn on this little thing, and all of a sudden, all the attention that they're needing is there. And so I think it's a matter, and you can correct me on this, is it just a matter more so of just being your best self, you being your best you, and not necessarily trying to outdo someone else. I can be my best me. I can't be that guy or that guy, but I can show you what the best me is. And if the best me is what you want, then I'm the guy. That's how I look at it. What about you?
Gotcha. Actually, DJ Fat, when it comes to dating, there is someone that you have to outdo. And that's not going to be like someone else, it's going to be yourself. Because people, given that we have much, much, much more options right now, we are looking for the best fit, suitable partner for us. And when we say like best fit, that means like not a perfect person, but a person who seems perfect for us, like customized for us, if there's such thing.
Mhm.
And so I think that when it comes to dating, personal development is very important. You would hear like singles saying, I want to find someone who would accept me as I am, like accept me even if I'm both boastful, I'm ungrateful, I'm negative. Those things do not work anymore if you want to be in a healthy, very satisfying relationship. You gotta have to, even if it's uncomfortable, you gotta move forward, improve yourself so that you have a fighting chance to to get a better mate.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Like every time you try to work on yourself, you're getting an opportunity, not just working on yourself, but you learning about yourself. Because as you get older, you learn a lot of things about yourself that you may not even known about yourself as you go through that journey. So sometimes we're better than what we even think. You know what I mean? So and so what got you into wanting to be a dating coach?
Well, it all started, DJ Fat Cat, when I was single. So I was already 21 years old, and I've never had a boyfriend. Like I've never had like any experience when it comes to romantic stuff. And I was like, God, like when are you gonna give me the one? And so people would say like wait for it, they would come in the perfect time. But really after a while of waiting, I was just 21, but I felt like I was waiting already for like 20 years. you know? So I thought like if we are studying medicine to be a good doctor, if we are studying say psychology, if we want to be a good psychologist, why don't we study dating so that we're going to be good in dating?
Right.
And
Right.
that's when my pursuit for the science of dating and romantic relationships started. And when I actually started reading, talking to experts, talking to people, and I tried to apply it in my personal romantic life, I was like, I would have done this, I would have learned this like way, way, way back. Because people are actually simple if you know how to understand or decode them. So when
Mm,
it comes to like women, if you know what makes them happy, if you know what pleases them, you will be in a higher rank compared to other guys who is like clueless about women, you know? And so when I found that those science-based tips are actually very effective, and then after what? After just 6 days, 6 days after I started my own company, my own dating company, I actually met my first boyfriend who is now already my husband after 6 years
wonderful,
of dating.
wonderful.
Yeah,
So it works basically.
it works. And I'm like thinking, if people would just tell people like, don't just wait, just be active also, just like what you do in your career, you know, you seek for good jobs, you seek for like better housing, you seek for better food. Why don't you actually learn how to find better mates?
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I think you like you said, you got to think of it like, a sort of a preparation for life, because it is part of your life. And in preparing, like you said, whether you're eating right or exercising or choosing the career, you're getting the right education, you're getting the right exercises. You have to get the right information in order to get the right dating tools so you can go out and get what you need.
Exactly. So if we are doing all these effort for our career, for our studies, for our food, for our, like gym and stuff, why are we not in exerting enough effort when it comes to the most important decision of our life, which is finding someone to marry? You know, the person that you're gonna marry, according to scientists, affects your wealth, whether
Absolutely,
you're going to be poor or rich. It's going to affect how long you're going to live in this world. You
absolutely.
know, it's going to affect your lifestyle, whether you're going to live like a poor life or, a comfortable life.
Yeah.
So choosing a romantic partner, a lifetime partner, is very, very, very important. So we have to be very equipped with it.
You could have said, you couldn't have said it better. Exactly what you say. It affects every aspect of your life. Yet people would choose to just happenstance on it. Oh, maybe I'll be in the grocery store, and if I run into somebody, or maybe if I'm in the gym, if I run into somebody, and like you said, it affects so much of your decisions and
So
your economic situation. You've got to really put some effort behind that, and especially like you said, what nowadays everybody is kind of, the competition is real. You're in
Mhm.
the gym, there's somebody who's producing this or doing that, and so you couldn't have said it better. You couldn't have said it better. So let me ask you this. Let's give an example. I'm a guy. I'm single. What do we do? What's next?
Well, if we are like, for example, if you're a guy who dates in times like this during a pandemic, we actually, when I say we, it's me and other very professional matchmakers. They would actually suggest that before you actually see someone in person, you gotta start talking to them virtually, because you want to minimize the risk, which is COVID, and you also want to maximize the potential of getting to know each other in an emotional level before you get physical and meet each other in person. So it's really, if dating online works for you, if you have like so much time to browse all through those profiles, go ahead, try online dating. But if you want to actually meet people who are already filtered, who's not fishing, who's not catfishing, who's not gonna show up like as a different person than what you've seen in the profile, then you start working with professional matchmakers.
Right.
And so professional matchmakers like me will not only actually help you, give you tips on how to have like a good first impression to your date. We will actually be able to tell you if the man or woman you are pursuing genuinely likes you or not, because we're getting all the feedbacks behind the scene. And so we are very, very truthful when it comes to giving feedbacks.
Henceforth is the reason for the mating game, because I thought virtual, you don't have to worry about getting too hands on. Feel them out. If you want to take it a step further after the virtual introduction, you can do so. But that way, like you said, you don't waste a lot of time, and so there's a safety matter, of course, with a lot of that other stuff. So to actually have that virtual mating game, I thought it was perfect timing. And so the addition to that is knowing that like I said, we have people like yourself who, whether they go on and speak to you before the mating game or after the mating game, you could be a person who they may need for the course, for throughout. It could be continuous because what are they? Relationships are continuous.
Exactly.
They're continuous. You know, we might be at 2 years in, and it can be an issue that arises that we didn't have to deal with. So who do we turn to? But somebody who knows a little bit about that situation, like yourself. So you know,
Exactly.
you could be in a long-term situation where they call you like 2 years later. Guess what? You know, Vanessa, I got a situation here. I mean, we hope that everything turns out from the beginning to the end great. But you know, there are a couple of and ups and downs in the relationships, and sometimes we need to go and get reinforcements. So it's good to have someone like that
That's
who, you
true.
know, like yourself, who's available.
And DJ, I just also wanna be able to add, according to the psychologist, his name is Raj Persod. He said that in all types of relationship go through three phases. So it's actually the getting of attention, picking the interest, and maintenance. So whatever relationship status you are, you go through all this process. Now, why are people single? Because it could be that they're very good in getting attention, but they're not good in maintaining interest. It's possible that they're very good in maintaining interest, but they don't attract partners easily, weak in getting attention. So all these three process, the last process would be maintenance. This is the most crucial part because you were able to get their attention, you were able to pick their interest, but then you have this one, the maintenance, which is something that you have to learn how to do it, or else they're gonna be gone.
Right, right. I think you, like you said, maintenance is crucial because we can always get people in the door, but just like any good business, you want the retention.
Yes, return customers.
Return customer. You want retention.
Yes, that's true.
Nothing like coming back.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. So that's basically, like you said, the three stages of a relationship. So again, I think about, you know, myself doing a 21-year situation, but you got people now, they'll go like 5 years in and they'll think this is an eternity. Like, oh, we've been together 5 years, this is too much. How do you, during this time, and the reason why they say that, there's so much more quote unquote options available. They don't just stick to the to glue or try to work through. They go, hey, you know what? Oh, come on, I got option B, C, D. Why do I got to work this out? So,
Mhm.
how do you, as a coach, get people to the 20-year mark, if
Right.
it's possible?
Right. And actually, DJ Fat, even if like people go into the 20-year mark, some of them still break up. But if you
Exactly.
want to have like a sustainable relationship, when you study the psychology of dating, the sociology of marriage, it all boils down, and this is like a top secret that I'm gonna share with you guys. It simplifies all the dating advice that experts would say. It all boils down to finding out what makes that person happy. Because if you could provide what could make that person happy, as long as you do it, that person will not be looking left and right unless they're naturally like a cheater or polygamous. But as long as you could satisfy that person in different aspects that they, because every person has like an expectation, and if you are able to meet those expectations and needs of your partner, then you have a good chance of keeping your partner happy. And so they're not gonna be looking around looking for someone who's gonna satisfy something that your partner cannot. So
Do
it's
you
really looking at what makes this person like really happy. Is it providing for their family? Is it taking them out on like getaways? Is it just serving them breakfast in the morning? Is it just being with them when they're having a difficult time? And that's not easy. Figuring out what makes the person happy is not easy. It
yeah,
takes time, and it takes like people reading
right.
some skills on that department, so that you would be able to understand genuinely what is it that you can provide, so that your person will not be looking out for other people to provide that need.
You brought up an interesting point. Is there such a thing as a natural cheater?
Well, I don't think that there's a natural cheater, but I believe in patterns. And this is actually according to psychologists. When a person, because our brain, there's like a system, and there's a system where our brain functions. And so when our brain is used to this kind of pattern, for example, that's why they always say like cheater, once a cheater, always a cheater. That's not just a saying out of nowhere. It's actually could be based on the fact that people have certain patterns. These are things that whether we realize it or not, we actually do it. It works. It works from our subconscious, and
Mhm.
so people can change. That is true, but be very careful because if you have seen like a repeated pattern of
Right.
cheating, what is the likelihood that that person wouldn't do that to you? So this is
Right.
all about dating smart. This is really studying the person's history while giving them a new leaf.
Right.
Like a
Right.
balance. It's a balance.
That's funny. So every time you come up with something, you speak to me on something, I think of something else, and that is, like you said, you look at a pattern of an individual person, and you think there's a possibility that that's going to happen in the same situation with us. For example, sometimes people meet someone on a rebound, or they meet someone who has just left someone and has gotten with them when cheating with the other person.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that it's not going to happen, but you know what? You might want to look out for that, whether it's karma or it's just natural cheating. The
That's true.
person is coming in the door in that status. So at that point, you're like, well, okay. I mean, I'm not going to say because a lot of people say, well, it was just because that person didn't make them happy. Understandable, but that wasn't the result of cheating. Is a matter of you either saying I don't want to be with that person that is not making me happy and moving forward versus I want to have my cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
That's the difference between those two things. It's okay that you want to blame the other person and say they didn't make you happy, but why did you choose to keep them connected and tied in when they could have pursued other happiness while you pursuing your additional happiness? That is the problem with that.
Right, that's true. That's so true, DJ Fat Cal. And so when we actually involve another person, keep them, very clueless of what we're doing just to make ourselves happy, then that is actually an indicator that's how our brains seek for pleasure or reward. And so if we do that, our brains might think now, oh, maybe this is like okay to do. So I might do it again and see if I'm gonna get like a different result.
Yeah.
So that's why it's really tough for women when we are being asked, are you gonna forgive a boyfriend or a husband who cheated you once?
Mhm.
That's really, really, that's really, really tough to
It
answer.
is. It is.
You would consider like whether you love the person or not. At the same time, if you are aware of how the brain of the person works, you would know that there are some kind of patterns that could be repeated in his or her next relationship.
I also with that I think it's a high level of, sorry to say it, but selfishness.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm secure and I got it together for myself now and in the future. So this is my now, this is my future. If it doesn't work out, I got plan B. Or I got a great family life. I don't want to destroy it. I love it enough, but I also want to venture out and check out what else might be out there. So to me, you have to have a certain level of selfishness to think in that way because you're not putting the other person first. You're not putting that family situation. You're putting your own. Can I keep this secure? And then I seek out some other interests. So that to me spells a big old selfish in capital letters. But I'm just saying you can let me know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, of course. I definitely there's a truth in that, DJ Fat. Like, of course, just thinking about like what would make you happy without even thinking if your wife at home waiting for you is like because your wife could actually cheat. She can,
Right.
but she did not choose to.
Right.
Because they say, according to psychologists, when you want to measure if someone loves you, you have to look at the level of sacrifice that they do for you. And so sacrifice means stopping or minimizing your bad habits like smoking, drinking, taking drugs and stuff. You try to like stop that. You try to discipline yourself because you don't want to hurt your partner because you know that upsets your partner. And so you sacrifice yourself. And that's love, according to scientists. And so if you don't sacrifice your itch to like be with another human being when you are already in love or when you are in a relationship with someone, that actually tells about your level of commitment and love to the person. So when that happens, it's better that you choose like a new partner and let go of the old one so that the old one could actually find their ever after.
Exactly. I think that's the perfect idea because we want to have it happily ever after, but if it happens that you find your interest elsewhere or some other peak of some sort, at least have the dignity and respect for the other person and let them have that same equal opportunity to
Yeah.
move on and pursue whatever life dreams they may have. But the one of the thing you brought up, which was very interesting, was the part about keeping your mate happy. I
Mhm.
noticed that over the course of years, what may be something that made you happy year one, you may change. We all do. In year five, that same thing may not make you happy. And so there's two things to that. The mate is thinking this is what made you happy a year ago. Now, 5 years later, you're asking me for something else.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do? In 10 more years, you're gonna be. I'll never be able to keep up with this pattern of what's the new happiness. It's like the new pair of shoes. How do you figure? What do you do with that?
There's actually this study by Dr. John Gottman. He has been studying married relationship for 40 years, and he has been taking notes of the best practices. And one of the best practices that he actually noted, people who actually stayed in long, stable married relationship. These are the people who actually are very particular about the small details about their partner, because we are like that when we are just starting to court someone. We're like, so like our attention is so focused on them. But when we spend like 1 year together, 5 years together, 20 years together, you try to assume like, I know already everything about my partner. Like I don't even have to look at her or look at what she's wearing or look or smell her new perfume or something. I already know that. So that level of assumption is dangerous because
Yeah.
you did not know. You will not notice that your partner has already evolved. They like different food now. They already like different style. And sooner or later, if you don't actually notice that, you would be surprised. They actually like a new person, but you
Yeah, they
don't
can. You
like
can outgrow your mate. Or,
it.
either person can outgrow the person based on many levels. It could be education. It could be interest. A lot of things. So that outgrow is always the possibility. And yeah, that's very, 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 very important. What you just said. I found two of the greatest elements for a good relationship is you have to be an excellent, not just a good listener.
Yes, 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 yes.
Women want you to listen to what they are speaking about, and probably men as well. But listening, just hearing, and not just with the listening with the outer ear, but listening and responding to what they're telling you. Right? If they say, "Well, my hand is burning on the flame of the stove," you so let me go blow some balloons.
Exactly. So that's what makes the marriage, fail. Like not responding correctly to what your partner is actually asking from you. The fact that they told you that their hands is burning from cooking, it means that they want like comfort or your attention or to help them with something. So if you respond wrongly and differently, then they're gonna say, "Oh, maybe if I'm with a different person, I'm gonna get the comfort that I need right now, and not from this like guy who just chose to blow some balloons."
Exactly. Like totally, the response was totally not fitting for the problem. So, yeah, the listening aspect is probably critical, very critical. And the second most important I learned is to acknowledge and to when I say acknowledge, I mean acknowledge even if they got their hair done differently. Acknowledge if they've taken the extra time to cook something. Acknowledge. Acknowledgement acknowledgement
Yeah.
is my second biggest I like to call secret
DJ,
to
DJ
that.
Pat, you're like an expert already. All these things that you were saying, these are actually findings of studies by Dr. John Gottman. Yes, the level of being responsive, the you being not only responsive but acknowledging new things in your partner. That's really part of the findings that they were actually that they actually discover. And so I'm so happy that you know that and that you are sharing that with your audience.
Yes, wonderful. Yeah, I mean, that was to me. I always hear the conversation about a woman will do so many things, and then he didn't even notice I got my hair cut, or he didn't even notice I did X, Y, Z. You know, so those types of things. I mean, I hear that kind of conversation that lets me know that the listening, the responding to the listening, and the acknowledgement. And
Yeah.
like one of the things you pointed out is just doing the things that make them happy. And sometimes guys just get maybe a, I don't want to say guys because gender is not really the thing
Yeah.
these days,
Okay.
but your mate could get the idea that if I just do what the next guy does. Now, I'm giving an example. Let's just say you're not a wealthy guy, but you do the simplest things. And this is one of the things that happens nowadays. Guys, some guys are good at cooking, and she loves what you cook for her. That's not about wealth. That's about something that makes her happy. So if you can find, like you said, the things that make her happy, the smallest things, and be consistent, that's the other key, consistency. Stop doing one thing and then you turn around and then you're on another page. Consistency, you can win. You can win. And am I wrong? I
No,
could be wrong.
actually, I mean, you have brought up a very good point. Like consistency, I know that a lot of people have been hearing this, like, be consistent. But I just want to be able to contextualize, like, being consistent doesn't mean like doing the same things that you've been doing before. So, here from DJ Cat, he said that it's actually changes the things that makes your partner happy right now doesn't mean it's going to be the same thing that makes them happy next year. So actually the key here is being consistent in paying attention in what makes your partner happy, because that's going to change and you got to be on your toes always,
Yeah.
as if you guys are just starting to date. So I think the mindset of keeping things fresh, like as if you guys are just on a date, it's not only exciting, but it also makes your partner feel less bored
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
relationship.
They love it. They love it to be an adventure, an exciting journey of life, and going both ways. See, that's the thing. When we throw out, we started to say the guys versus the girls. We got to be careful because the guys may do it, and then the girl doesn't show up and say, "Oh, I don't have to do it. That's his job to do all of that stuff." Guess what? It's a team.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's a team. If you want that kind of acknowledgement, you want that kind of you would be surprised at what that guy, he may not be asking for it. Guys can be very quiet and very my hand's burning, oh don't worry about it, I'll keep going to work. But you would be surprised. It would be a surprise because first of all, that's not a thing that they might see a lot. Oh, she's doing the same thing, giving me the same thing. She's acknowledging me. She's, and so if you want this team to work as a team, then the women have to show up the same way, 110% is the man. You can't expect that that's the man's job. He's supposed to do all that. I'm just going to sit here
Yeah.
and that's going to make a great relationship.
Yeah.
That's not. It's going to make him maybe start looking. Who's going to give me the interest? Who's going to make me feel like this sort of guy I want to feel like? Da 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 da. Da.
Yeah.
So knowing that, you should say, no, I'm going to put in the same effort. If he's acknowledging, I'm acknowledging. If he's listening, I'm listening. If you do that as a team, I think you can win as a team.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's true, DJ Fan. And I know that some of your listeners might have heard of love languages, but I think love languages is very beautiful because let me give you an example. For example, my love language, the way I want to receive love is through spending time together. While you, DJ Fat, your way of expressing love is giving gifts. So imagine if we do not actually know about these things about each other, you're gonna keep on giving me gifts, but that's not the thing that makes me happy. So if you know that what makes me happy is spending time, you're gonna give me less gifts and you're gonna be with me more. And so understanding how your partner gives love and how they want to receive love, because there's a difference, no?
Yeah.
Understanding those two is actually very, very powerful. You would have an idea of what would make that person happy. And so take a look at the love language of your partners.
Nice, nice. That was a good one. That was definitely a good one because that, like you said, it can be you want something, but not in the same form
Yes.
that your spouse wants it or your mate wants it. And that was the other thing. I was careful to use the word mate because look at today's society. Mate is a consistently used word, but you got all the other terms that can throw everything left and right. You got these other terms. So I use mate.
Okay.
Mate is to
Wonderful.
imply that
Mate.
it's not a spouse, it's not a man, it's not a woman, it's a mate. You're looking for somebody to be a buddy, a mate for life.
Yes.
So mate's a
Beautiful.
cool word. It's a smooth, gender appropriate kind of word. It works for everyone. So, but
Like
this has been wonderful. So this is what we're thinking now. Going forward, like I said, even as I name it a game, I don't really think of it as a game. But I do think that mating, getting to find your mate is exciting. It should be fun. It should be adventurous. It should be a journey. What are your thoughts?
that is true. Very briefly, I wanted to share with you the DJ Fat Cat about this study that has been done in MIT University. And basically, what the researchers did is they did not look at the faces of the daters. So there are couples who was going on a date for the first time. They did not look at their faces, but they were able to predict who were the couples who's going to go on second date and who were the couples who's not going to go on second date. You know how they did it? They were just listening to the audios. They were not listening to the words. They were only listening to the pitches. Whether if the couples was laughing, even if whether the couple was, have a monotone discussion,
Monotone, yeah.
monotone
Monotone.
monotone
Yeah.
discussion. And so they were able to predict it with 98% accuracy.
Mm.
And the findings of the study is basically this. When you go on a first date and you had lots of fun, the likelihood of you getting a second date is very high
Yeah.
compared to, spending a date with someone who got very serious, who, talked about problems and pandemic and stuff. So basically, I agree with what you're saying. And this is the findings of the study, that when you go on dates, being fun, being lighthearted is very, very important. And so we could actually see that as like a game. And
Yeah.
personally,
Yeah.
I do believe that dating is a numbers game
Yeah.
because there's actually someone out there for us. I believe in that. And so sometimes the reason why we don't end up with a partner is because we're not searching enough, also.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think sometimes people get very maybe they've had a bad situation happen and they may just wipe it and say, you know what, I'm not even going to work on that. I'm
Yeah.
done with that. And that can be, that can be the ideology of a lot of people. And, or you can just have maybe, like you said, bad luck. You try, you date, and it just never works out. You don't get a second call, and nobody, gets back to you. So you said numbers game. It can boil down to a numbers game because if you go on many, many, many dates, you just might find one person that just might work for you. You
Yeah.
know.
And
So
and of
that's
course, I
sorry.
wanna I wanna be able to contextualize that. When I say numbers game, it doesn't mean that you don't date, like you date nonstop, like every night you go out. Basically, what I'm saying is we are as a matchmaker. I encourage singles to go out there and go and meet someone new, because each person that you meet teaches something about yourself. Because when we go on dates, we learn what we like and what we don't like actual in person, not just theoretical. Because I might say, like, I don't like a person who does not have table manners.
Mm.
You just say it. But sometimes when you meet like a really gorgeous guy and that person doesn't have table manners, but you are actually very in awe about how their personality is, how they speak, how they treat you, then those table manners could
Go
be
to the wayside. Yeah.
exactly flexible. But
Right.
if you actually went out there, go on date, and you've actually encountered like a man or a woman who treats a waiter badly, then that's really like, that is your reality. I mean, you could succinctly say that, hey, this is not for me, and I'm never gonna see someone again when a person has this kind of attitude. So it makes your choices, your list of preferences, more solid than ever before. So
Mm.
go on date.
Yeah. So turning the corner. This is the last part, very important part because we touched on it, but we'll go back to it.
Okay.
The world now is international dating, international cultures, international.
Yeah.
On that note, we come across different cultures, different people with different family backgrounds and things that we've come across that we've never seen before or things we've never experienced. How does that play in? Because I watched a couple of the shows, no names mentioned, and they'll have international dates, and one person will go in with this mind frame, and then they get a culture shock, realizing that the world is different from what you might have grown up with or what you were comfortable with, and then they either adapt, adjust, and overcome, or B, they just turn away and say, "Oh, I can't do this," because I come from that international little pool of people who've been with someone internationally speaking.
Uh-huh.
What is your take on how one should go in if they decide? And I'm just looking. I'm going through the different visuals of the shows. You go into a situation where you're okay. We use an American person, but then they end up in some country that they've never even. They don't speak the same language. They don't have the same customs, and they want to date someone from that. How does that person approach that situation to make it successful, to make it work?
For me, knowledge is really power. And so, if you have that kind of mindset and you really want to work it with someone who is different in culture, then you use Google by searching for places, restaurants, events, and stuff. Why don't you use Google to research about the culture and practices and what are the tendencies of people from this country? What makes them tick? Is doing like a peace sign okay for them, or is it like taboo? So
Yeah,
really, knowledge is power.
yeah.
Know about the culture, research beforehand, and whenever you encounter something different, do not, because our tendency is when we see something different from us, we take it like negatively, like
Mhm.
like that's
There's
because
some people.
our brain actually does that naturally. Anything that's new, the alarm system goes off like, hey, that's not nice because it's not something that we've experienced before. But you actually, when you actually keep an open mind and then you research, that's gonna equip you to dating internationally.
Wonderful, wonderful. And that's the thing. When you said about the research,
Mhm.
because yeah, they could actually just look it up. And if that's not your shtick, save yourself the trouble. Don't go
Exactly.
into some country where they have these customs. You go, oh, I can't believe I'm not going to subscribe to that. I don't want to do that and this and the third. You could have saved yourself a lot of trouble by just researching and seeing if that is something that you can apply yourself to or not. And the last part of the international dating is the scams, the things that happen where people are asking people to send money, or they
Yeah.
get this person in this relationship where they're constantly milking them through money.
Mhm.
And a lot of people have lost a lot of money behind this. They're all looking for love, all hoping for the best. And what is your advice on keeping yourself from putting yourself in a situation where you found someone online and they're suddenly asking recurring, like this is going to be a residual income kind of thing for money?
All right. So when people ask me how would I know if this person likes me, I always tell them look at the investment. And when I say investment, does not only mean money. It means time, attention, effort, and stuff. And so when they are asking for money without even investing time, effort, and attention to you, you gotta be very careful. So actually, time is very, very precious. And usually, when we don't like the person, we could actually, message them once in a while, video call once in a while, but we wouldn't really spend so much time with them. But if the person really, really likes you, the natural
Inclination.
of our yes intonation of our brain is we would like to spend more time. And so if this person does not spend time with you, like only spends time with you when they need something, then you gotta be wary, especially if you haven't met in person, because there's a lot of things that you see online that might not translate when you meet in person. So before you invest financially, invest when it comes to time, attention, and effort first. And actually, hope that they would actually invest the same with you. Do
Yeah.
you,
That is makes a lot of sense. Um, and then the thing about the international dating, when you have a choice between someone saying, "I'm going to go and live in your country, and we're going to make our relationship there," you're going to come in my country, and we'll make a relationship here. That can be a very touchy subject matter. I mean, and not just between the two people, it's even governmentally speaking. You know, all the paperwork you got. If I want to go marry somebody in the Philippines, I get my passport. I go and live in the Philippines. Not a big deal. If I want someone to come here, I got to fill out all these papers. I got to prove myself. I'm jumping over hurdles. I'm like, for all of that, I'm gonna go live where she's at. Why would I go over here and go through the headache? Tell me about it.
All right. So when it comes to really like internationally dating, or deciding where to live, with whether you go to your partner or your partner goes to you, it's actually usually the tendency is it's actually the man who has to like go first, show up, show themselves. Especially if you're gonna date someone from the Philippines, you gotta show your face first to the family, to the friends and stuff, and then from that you could actually like decide whether that person wants to stay with you. But again, I do believe that time is everything. That means the longer time you get to know the person, the lesser risk you will have. And so when you are dating internationally, do not be in a rush, because time will actually reveal a lot of things about your partner. And so be very patient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that you know what? I was experiencing a little bit of audio glitch toward the end. That's why I was kind of working with that.
Oh,
But yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. The man taking the initiative to make the move to go, you know,
yeah.
and check out the situation to see whether or not it's gonna work for both of you. And then also sometimes you might go into a situation where maybe that person has children, and they have to consider that if they're gonna do a move versus the other way. And going back to culture, family ties. Some family culture speaking are very tight knit. And it's not just a simple thing for the person to just uproot themselves and disconnect from 3 or 4 generations of their family and not miss the persons or people that they've been around. Because I've seen situations where people have missed their family, so they had to break up because of that. They jumped on the plane, they came in, oh, I miss my grandmother and I miss, and I'm not saying you don't go and visit, but it's nothing like living right where they are. So sometimes people don't consider that when they think about that move. Like, is this person coming from that type of structure where, you know, 3 and 4 generations are living side by side, and all of a sudden you uproot them in their single situation? Not saying no one cannot adapt, adjust, and overcome, because we all can do that. But is that always, you know, possible for every person? I'd say no. And you have to consider whether even that, because that's going to end up in a breakup. So now you did all of this, person's crying and whining, whatever they're doing, and now you got to undo what you just did. But you could have thought, well, even selecting from certain cultural situations, well, that's a natural thing for that person.
Yes, DJ, because it all goes back to what? Again, happiness. What does what makes your person happy? And
Exactly.
so if you think that your person, that your partner is only gonna be happy with you when all her or his life he has been spending it very closely with his family, and then one day you decide to fall in love and you want to take that person out of his or her environment just to be with you, then that's gonna be borderline selfish. At the same time, I'm so sorry, I don't think that the relationship would work, because you are actually asking the person to leave their happiness, and that's not gonna work.
Yes, and the balance of it all is sometimes people think, well, I'll just come to America, the land of the great golden whatever. They think all this gold and riches will be there. So sometimes they forsake that. And they go, well, you know what? Look how great life's going to be over there. And not only, I mean, not always does that work out to be the case. So yeah, like we're touching all the ground. So we
Yeah,
have been taking the hour because these are the things that are happening out there these days.
that
These are the things that are happening. The international, the social media stuff, which we can go on another hour just talking about
mhm.
the meet and greets
Yes,
that
yes,
happen with those things, and they're just so messy that it's just not even worthy to even spend much time. But just to say, beware of
everywhere.
that messy situation. And it is a, you know, it's a, yeah, it's a younger crowd and there are older people in it too, but it's a messy, different situation. So I had enough good news, and it's almost 4 o'clock, but 10 minutes to go. Is there anything imparting you want to impart, whatever knowledge you'd like to? We'll just leave the floor open for you to do what you say what you would like to say.
All right. So I just wanted to say, like, for everyone who's watching, there's this very good psychologist. Her name is Dr. Terry Arbach, and she is Dr. Love. She has that title already for so many years, and she's from here in the United States. And she said that those people who are actually finding love are people who are positive about finding love. So this is where the mindset comes in. If you believe that you're going to meet someone amazing, you're going to meet someone who's going to understand you, love you, and you're willing actually to give the thing the same back, and you're positive that you're going to find them, then you will. But if you're the person who actually gave up on love already, preferred to just stay at home, not meet people, and just, sulk and do stuff that wouldn't even help you, then you're not gonna find love. So it's basically like that. It's up to us to decide. Me myself, I have been very positive that I'm gonna find love, and so I did. And so I'm gonna tell all singles that I'm coaching, that I'm working with, if you want to find love, it gotta start here. You gotta believe that you're gonna find love, because when you believe, it's not magic. It actually affects your body, the way you look at people, the way you present yourself, the way you talk, the way you stand. When you believe that you're going to find love, then you're going to present yourself as lovable, likable, and not the other way around. So believe that you're going to find love.
Yeah, I'm going to the Philippines tomorrow. No, I'm just saying. No, seriously. I want to thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I'm quite sure we'll be in touch and talk a little bit more. And as I have my pursuit as well, I'm quite sure you'll be able to help me with that journey. This has been a wonderful experience, and it is the great introduction to the mating game. And I'm quite sure whoever has listened in has gained a lot. This is Vanessa Antonio, dating analyst. Please, how can we find you?
Go search for my account on Instagram. It's at Dating Analyst. We also run a few events all over the East Coast. So we also, if you are near Philadelphia, you could actually search for Singles Events Philadelphia on Facebook, and so that you'd be able to join our events. So I'm also a science-based dating coach, and if you want to learn really specific hacks, how to hack your brain, how to hack your actions and finding love, be very good in dating, then please contact at Dating Analyst on Instagram, and I'm so happy to work with you. Thank you, DJ Fat
No
Cat.
problem, no problem. And
I
thank you for
wish you
tapping in.
I wish you all the best in your mating game. It's very important now more than ever. When we help people find love, the feeling when they actually get together, that's like priceless. Like you
Right.
can die the next morning. And so
Absolutely.
that's really a beautiful
Well, thank you.
thing to do.
Thank you so much for coming on. And like I said, we'll be in touch and I'll be talking to you pretty soon, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
God bless you guys.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes, that was Vanessa Antonio. And this was the first episode of The Mating Game. Um, it gave me a perspective on how I want to take it, but it starts out with three people, and we have a contestant who will speak and ask questions amongst those three contestants. So there'll be four people in total. That person will eliminate two of those people and eventually get to narrow it down to one. It is all virtual. It's pretty safe, and then two consenting adults. What they decide to do after the game is their choice. But and we will continue to have this analysis. We'll continue to have this dialogue, and we'll hopefully even bring in some other specialists and analysts, and to give you a better insight as to what it is that you need to do to find that mate. I'm your host, DJ Fat Cat, the mating game. Signing off until I talk to you again. Again, visit the website wpkbmedia.com for all things that I'm working on. You can see a tab for the dating game or the mating game. So if you are an interested individual who is interested in looking and finding the mate, and you've been in all the wrong places, then I encourage you to contact at wpkbmedia.com. The email is contact at wpkmedia.com. Put the subject line, the mating game. Contestants, we'll have you in. We'll line everybody up. We'll get it together. We'll come on screen and we'll be a virtual, and we'll make it happen. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in. Be safe.